What if you could predict your future? Does this seem too good to be true? It can be done. All it takes is using your mind to give thought to how you want your future to look. What is it that you want to see? How do you want to be? And how do you want your life to go? These questions can be answered by you. This isn't about manifesting, it is about creating. If you want to be healthier, speak to your future healthy self and tell her, what are you doing today to help her be healthier? You want to be happier? What is it that you can tell your future self you are doing today to create a feeling of being happy? Thinner, richer, more of something, or less of anything at all? Dear future self, here's what I am doing today to support you. In this podcast, Dear Future Self, based on the book by the same name, author Susan Axelrod, the confidence coach, interviews women who understand the benefit of speaking out what they want for their lives. Why is this important? Because speaking to your future self supports you here and now. What would you say to your future self?
Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of this podcast that holds such a deep space in my heart. For people who are brave enough to come on here and face this question, it really takes opening up a little bit, imagining the possibilities of a future that you simply want. From there, you can actually create that future. But if you never think about your future self, if you never speak to your future self, often we live a life of what I call unrequited yearning. My guest today knows this story all too well about how to create a future. Dr. Gina Anderson is the CEO of Luma Brighter Learning, an award-winning learning company and a 2024 and 2023 recipient of the prestigious Inc. 5000 Fastest Growing Companies Award. Dr. Anderson is a learning scientist who routinely publishes new, measurable, science-based techniques specifically focused on learning in logistics and transportation to help companies improve their safety scores and uphold compliance. But because she has nothing else to do, she is also the author of Thrive, How Learning Can Ignite a New Way Forward, which launched as the #1 best-selling book in neuroscience. Gina, welcome. Thank you. I'm so happy to speak with you today.
Oh, thank you so much, Susan, for having me. You know, we've talked before, and this is a topic. Your podcast is a theme that can help so many people. So thank you for having it and creating this amazing, amazing content for your listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say, first of all, when Tara LaFon Gooch introduced me to you, for which I'm grateful, I heard that you were a learning scientist. And anyone who knows me knows I love all things science. I was not a STEM kid, quite the opposite, but now I absolutely love science. I love the basis, and I especially love neuroscience. So I love this whole business about learning, and the fact that I had forgotten from our conversation, your book launched as the #1 best-selling book in the category of neuroscience. So
Thank you.
Gina.
Thank you so much. Well, you know, it's kind of interesting because people think this is like a pop culture kind of content, but really what you're doing really isn't. I mean, this is grounded in science, and I study the brain and how people learn. And so I'm quite passionate about it because I know that really the most powerful teacher is really the quiet voice inside of each of us. And when that happens, Susan, it releases neurotransmitters that will actually change how we feel. And people often talk about 3 or 4 neurotransmitters, and there's over 60, even more than that scientists are studying. And so this idea of telling your future self isn't just hearsay. This is real science. And so I can appreciate what you're doing. So thank you so much.
I mean, honestly, Gina, some people will watch us, but some people will only listen. And to them, I want to say, I have a huge grin on my face. I thank you so much. It is through my personal journey, my personal experience that I got here. So I often say, if you want proof, look at me. And for people who knew me in the old day, they know, oh yeah, she's different. So, to get us started today, I want to ask you the conversation, which I did give you in advance, the question, which is, what would you say to your future self? And my guests always get to pick that date in the future.
Well, one of the things I think about quite often is the fact, and you and I kind of talked about this, is not having children and not thinking about kind of like, what is your legacy going to be? Because most people think about their legacy tied to maybe their children. And the reality is, as we know, is your legacy does not have to be tied to a person. It does not have to be tied to children. Your legacy is what you make of it. And this really ties really nicely to this note of your future self. And really, I feel like if you're able to really dive within, it's something that I call learner to self, is those messages that you tell yourself that can really ignite your way forward and thinking about what your legacy truly is. And so from my standpoint, thinking about it being, really grounded in the love that I give every day. You're building your legacy today as you live every single day. It's not set out in the future. It's how you ground yourself and live every day. So I think for myself to think about what the future looks like is really what you do every day to ground yourself and ground the environment in love.
I mean, honestly, we're speaking the exact same language. It was in 2004 that I got the domain name, whatwillyourlegacybe.com. And I say the exact same thing, Gina. I 100% know that people who think their children are their legacy are losing opportunity all over the place, because as long as things are going well with your children, rock on. But the minute it goes south, which is, we're humans, and also the number of broken adult relationships and things. So I'm 100% on board with you. The way you live your life is the legacy that you leave. So that in the thesis here, dear future self, every day I live in such a way that you'll be proud of us.
Yes, absolutely. And you think about, we're in a time where people are feeling very disconnected. I think about this. You look at your phone and it tells you spent 8 hours on your phone that day or 4 hours on that phone the day. There's actually research that's showing that a lot of individuals are spending at least 4 hours on their phone a day. But what if we could spend that time being engaged with other folks in the moment and building that legacy of tomorrow today? And it would actually not only make you feel better when you think about the future, but feel better in the moment, because we're in a time where a lot of people are feeling disconnected and lonely. And so what if that were a note to your future self? It's like, hey, future self, let's be engaged today. Let's take your eyes off of the phone and maybe look at someone in the eyes when you go to the grocery store.
This has been coming up recently, of course, no mistake there, no coincidence. And that is this idea of how we used to pick up the phone to ask people questions. So I am involved with a project with the publisher Anne Shabani. And she recently, again, coincidentally wrote a post that I had been thinking about. And then because she's such a great writer also, it helped me think more. And I replied, there were 8 or 10 people, my mother-in-law for recipes, my father for help around the house, house things, my mother for politics, my aunt for this, and, all these different people, my niece for physical therapy, my other niece for photography. And how much today, and we're reading this, again, no coincidence, we're reading more and more, but exactly what you just said, we don't really have to connect in those ways. I mean, my mother-in-law, when I used to call her for a recipe, she'd like, oh, but this is a long distance phone call. That was in the old days, and, but it allowed me to connect with her exactly as you say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't think about it, and we have to ask ourselves, and I write about this in my book, what's holding us back? I mean, what is it that's holding us back? And, whether it's a shadow statement or something that we believe to be true that's not really reality, the truth is that we are in a time where we're feeling the most disconnected. And instead of picking up the phone to hear a voice, I mean, the emotional resonance that happens when you can actually connect and talk and hear someone's voice is powerful, right? And so I think we're missing that, to your point, because we're so quick to do a text. But like you said, why don't we pick up the phone? Why don't we look in people's eyes?
I mean, Gina, you've been calling in the science here. And I listen to Huberman. I'm like addicted to his 3-hour podcasts where he doesn't apologize for going, in and going deep and staying there for a long time, and many others on neuroscience, all kinds of things. I have reason to be interested in the brain myself. And what you just spoke out is science. You said it right from the beginning. This isn't fluff. This is actual science.
Right. Yeah, no, I was going to say our brains are changing. I did a presentation last week at an event where I showed brain scans of individuals who are not only multitasking with technology and how that's changing our cerebral fluid and how that's changing the different sizes of the components of different elements of our brain, but also we're feeling the remnants of the changes that are happening in our brains, but we don't realize it, right? Like we know, but we don't know because we don't see the scans. I showed scans of individuals who were struggling with dementia, and just the absence of gray and white matter in those brain scans versus somebody that had the cognitive capacity to engage. The biggest strength that you can do from a neuroscience standpoint is be connected with other people.
Yeah.
And the reality is we're at a time where we're not being connected. And so whether that's listening to each other, being in a room. I watched it with my mom. I mean, the doctor told her, Susan, you need to do puzzles. And what she would do is she would scroll on her phone and do puzzles. But that's not, think about when we used to do puzzles, you'd sit at a table with your family and you put together a puzzle.
Yeah.
Right. And so this idea to your future self, you have to live in the present and now with each other.
I mean, I have to tell you, Gina, I'm having a little heart palpitations now. Honestly, this is so deep. This is why I love my life. I love my work. First of all, I want to say thank you. You're literally on a business trip. You're in between. You're about to fly out. And so I really want to thank you for taking time to stop here with me and have this conversation. The idea of how the last Surgeon General claimed, loneliness is killing us. Right?
It is.
There's research and how much we're an addiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
In brain addiction to scrolling, right? The whole thing, you do jigsaw puzzles. I have jigsaw puzzles on my phone that I do. And I tell myself, I mean, I am engaged a lot in life, but that it's better than doing nothing, But what you're talking about is something, well, I wanted to say it's easy. But Gina, I'm thinking, it's not so easy for people to be personally engaged and connected anymore.
Yeah, but the thing is, Susan, it doesn't have to be where you get together at an event. I mean, a lot of people are there was a Harvard research study that was released right after the Surgeon General that said, look, people are preferring to be alone. The reality of that, though, if you're preferring to be alone and playing puzzles on your phone, it's creating cognitive, not only dissonance, but deterioration. Like, I have brain studies that show this, and it shows how it's impacting not only memory, so in terms of your memory, but attention. So to be attended to someone, okay, let me give you a real good example. So I went to an event and I looked at the barista in his eyes and I said, "Good morning. Thank you for being here today."
Yeah.
That is like, that poor gentleman hadn't heard that, Susan, probably forever.
Yeah.
He came to my table. He gave me some extra baked goods and he thanked me. And so this isn't about creating a party atmosphere. This is about being present in the moment, not only to other people, but to your own voices and your own self, because what you tell yourself impacts that, your brain and all the components and the chemicals as well. That's why I can appreciate taking the time to be here with you today to share this important information, because this is science and this is impacting our brains. And so what you tell your future self does matter. It does.
Yeah. This use of the word thrive that you selected for the title of your book, it may have gotten a little overused, not in my world, that is my world, but I wanted to really reiterate the subtitle, which is how learning can ignite a new way forward.
Yes.
And what you just did with us today was you taught us, you edified us, right? This is a type of learning that anybody who's watching or listening is gaining. And I call it gleaning. Like, gleaning is bringing in, right? Paying attention, gleaning. And the idea, Gina, I unfortunately have people close to me, and I know many other young people who talk about, it's not agoraphobia, the old mental illness you used to call agoraphobia. It's a social phobia that it's hard for them to get out. When in my day, we had networking. I went to monthly luncheons. I met people, to your point. I sat with people. They were older. They were more experienced, more mature. They could advise me. They could hire me. They could help me. And I did that every month. We had our monthly luncheons, professional in my industry. But today we don't really see that so much. It's impacting us, isn't it?
It is impacting us, and it's about connection. It's about connecting with each other in the moment and connecting with ourselves. And the reality is, you are losing gray. I mean, the average brain is going to have natural human decay of different components of your brain. So I have scans from the moment you were born all the way until, you're over 100, and what happens. And also what happens from the influences of screens and technologies and the impact those are having on all the components of learning. But here's the good news. Neuroplasticity is present. And that means that with the methods that you talk about in your work that you do help us continue to grow and continue to evolve our brain and our gray and white matter, and also the cerebral fluid that surrounds our brain. And honestly, this is why I'm so passionate about it, because you have to not only love yourself deeply, but you have to love yourself first to be able to be here and be present. But you have to be able to be present with other people. And like I said, this doesn't mean that you have to go out and be in a social event. Although when you have learner to learner engagement, it does create a stronger synapse, and which means that you're going to feel that much better. But the idea that you're going to engage when you're out, everyone has to go out. Although I will say this, Susan, I look around my neighborhood and there's like, where are the children at? They're not even out there.
There's no children. And also there are delivery people delivering meals. No, you don't. Your meals get delivered, your groceries get delivered, your dry cleaning gets delivered. No, we really have turned into a society where if you can afford it, and the children are not out. We are a little afraid, of course, in this day and age, but more likely we're busy and they're not being tended to, not in a way to judge, God forbid. But that's part of the story of us right now.
Absolutely. We have to be aware. I mean, I think we are aware, but we're not aware of how it's damaging our brains and making us feel. If you're really aware of how you feel, like if you're feeling lonely or you're feeling depressed or you're feeling removed, think about what your daily activity is like. Like how many interaction points do you have, number one, with yourself, with your own mind and your own thinking, and number two, with other learners or other people. Those two components are the strongest components to impact your neurotransmitters and how you feel. And that's why learning is the seed of life, because I use that in my book, because I don't think a lot of people know or realize that they're in this situation. But if they have strategies to know like how to move their thoughts forward, they can open a new door for tomorrow. And that's why I'm really passionate about sharing this, because the reality is people are stuck, Susan, and we need to help them be unstuck.
Yeah, we need to help them be unstuck. I love offering them science. I personally am not a scientist. I don't play one on podcast. I am a learner. I guess I'm listening to your language, Gina. I think you've really taught me something here today. Like I'm a learner.
Yes, we are all learners. And that's the key. Don't stop learning. And what I mean by that is try something you've never tried before, because that really is what pushes you to expand not only how you think about things, but how you process and remember information. So if you're just dragging, like I watched my mom, and her doctor told her this, Susan, she's like, it's okay, play puzzles on your phone. And it's like, that is only going to get you so far, but that is not going to help you stay connected and continue to help you live your life. I mean, you have to be able to do new things or think about new things if you are physically able to do that. Engage in new concepts. There's a lot of online communities, online, in person, that you can do that if you don't want to leave your house. Like this, I mean, you can get new concepts to help you continue to have creativity and continue to have a passion, because once you lose your passion for learning, you really do lose your passion for living. And it's important that you continue to do that, because your brain controls everything about you, your chemicals, how you feel, how you live each day. And that's why I've dedicated my life to it, because it's so important to continue, because at the end of the day, you're, like you said, like your future self depends on yourself of how you are today in the moment.
Right. And this concept that came to me is really, it is a brain test of a sort. If you can see yourself in certain ways and you can speak to yourself in certain ways and you can believe yourself. You talked earlier about messaging that we heap on ourselves. I have watched it with several older people I loved and adored. My own father was the CEO of an international corporation. As he aged and he didn't do some of these things, his life became smaller and smaller. He lost his hearing. That makes you feel isolated. He got macular degeneration. That makes you feel isolated. And then it was all on my mother to entertain and be the social director. I could go on and on about this, but Gina, I don't, thank God my parents are gone and they lived good, long lives. And I was lucky and blessed to have them and to love them and be loved by them. But I work with young professionals now. And I can tell you, I mean, now we could talk about substance use, weed and whatnot, that also negatively impacts the brain, the cellular structure that you're talking about, the neuroplasticity, the cerebral fluid. And I really love this conversation that we're having that is easily able to be understood by many people.
Absolutely. I think the key of all of this is to be present, present with yourself, present with your thoughts, present of what you're telling yourself, being aware of all, within a fraction of a second, your mind starts to wander. So you have to be aware of what you're telling yourself today and how you're connecting with those in your environment. Because like you said, if you're choosing to spend 8 hours looking at your phone, that is an addictive behavior. And there is science that shows it continues to release cortisol and other neurotransmitters that makes you continue to want to look at it.
Right.
If you know that, you can break the cycle and spend the time, maybe reflect and write and journal about what you're thinking. Writing and that connection can help you connect with yourself, but also think about and push yourself. I'm not the most social person, and I purposely try to connect with other people every chance I get. I'm going to go to the airport. I have these stickers I carry with me that say you're a winner, and I give them to people because it makes people feel, and you have that moment of connection. I'll never see that person again, but the fact that we had that moment matters. So make every moment today matter, so that tomorrow, the future and your future self can engage in it, because nothing is guaranteed. We're all going to have cognitive decline, whether we like it or not. So it's the ability to be engaged now so you can leverage that down the line. And just know, if you're listening to this and you're 96, 86, you still have the opportunity to engage and be creative in your own mind and your own self. And that's where happiness comes from. It doesn't come from, it doesn't come from something external. It comes from what you choose to be connected with yourself and how you live that out every day.
And I can tell you, I have a friend who has overcome the odds of the severe domestic violence, severe trauma from domestic violence. And I just was texting her last night. I'm sending her a gift, and she said, "You're so great." And I said, "No, you're so great."
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. You have a community. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Any trauma, any hurdle that has impacted your brain and impacted your life, you have the ability to move forward. You do. And it's about those words that you tell yourself. Those are called bright statements, and you can use those to help you. And so you need other people, like she needs you and you need her, and you can help each other. So absolutely. That's beautiful, Susan.
Yeah. Listen, before I let you go, I want to ask you, you told me about your stickers before. I've been thinking about them. May I steal this idea?
That's never stealing.
Okay.
You can share.
I'm joining your team.
Okay, absolutely. Look,
I'm joining your team.
Look, there's nothing about stealing when you're doing good and making people happy. It's all about helping and elevating each other to lead a better day. You never know what people need, and they may just need that little note that says you're a star. Right. Go for it. Let's do it. Let's lift the world up together.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. So, Gina, we'll just have another minute or two. There's two things. First, offline, I'm going to ask you, Gina, what do you need? What do you need personally? What do you need in your business or professionally? Because I honestly am so glad to know you. I'll be letting Tara know. Thank you for introducing me to this extraordinary person doing extraordinary work. But separate from that, can you tell people where they can find you? This conversation is so interesting. So where can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a website, learningwithgina.com. I'm also the CEO of Luma Brighter Learning, so lumabrighterlearning.com. I'm on LinkedIn. So if you look me up, Dr. Gina Anderson, CEO of Luma Brighter Learning, you can find me on LinkedIn. I have a lot of free resources on my learningwithgina.com page because I believe learning should be free. So definitely go there. There's a bunch of articles I publish for Inc. magazine. I'm very passionate about sharing the science because that is what will move us forward.
Yeah. And also, everyone isn't educated, trained, and dedicated to their science craft. So in this way, I could invite you to speak in that way. And I share science that I learn about. So I love that you do that. Thank you so much. Okay, learningwithgina.com. I want to say one more thing, and that is every time you've mentioned the brain, I am a Qigong practitioner and teacher, and also Tai Chi. And this would be one tool, yes, where you can really, yes, serve your brain, your body, and your soul.
Thank you for doing that. Absolutely. Breathing and all of those are methods of helping you feel better. So
Yeah.
thank you for offering those methods. Definitely, there's a lot of different things you can do, but breathing, right?
Yeah.
It's all.
For those who are listening to us, Gina just led us in a breath, and I put both hands on my chest and I breathed too. Gina, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I'm delighted to know you, and I remain at your service to help support you on your mission.
Thank you so much, Susan. Me too. Thank you so much.
Take good care.